Hello, my friend, and welcome to this video where we're going to dive into Gene Key 27, from the shadow of selfishness to the gift of altruism to the city of selflessness. This Gene Key, has it got some transformation for us? One of the things that I often see with the 27th Gene Key is that people see it in their profiles, especially if it's in their activation sequence, and that word selfishness is one of those shadows that can just, it's like a dagger to the heart for some people of, oh, selfishness. I'm not selfish. I'm always doing everything for everyone. How dare my Gene Key profile call me selfish? Oh, there is such a portal here. And some of the shadows in the Gene Keys have that kind of spiky nature to them. Shadows like arrogance, that's another one of those Gene Key shadows that can get you in the heart. But let's peel back the meaning of this shadow of selfishness, and it might just be a bigger portal for you in your life than what you originally thought. If this is the first time that we are meeting, hello, my name is Hayley Curtis. I'm a Gene Keys guide, but more importantly, I'm just a woman who is in love with the Gene Keys. I am a woman who has dedicated her life to this transmission and sharing it with as many people as I can and helping people to understand their version of this so that they can unlock their magnificence. Your Gene Key profile is your unique roadmap to your higher purpose. And so here on this YouTube channel that is completely dedicated to the Gene Keys, we are taking the magnificence, the wisdom of the Gene Keys and making it practical so that you can not only understand your Gene Keys, but you can live them. Embodied transformation is the creed here. So if you are into that kind of thing and you're interested in diving even deeper into your Gene Keys, please hit the subscribe button and join me for the journey of a freaking lifetime. Let's dive into the Gene Key 27 magic. Like all 64 shadows in the Gene Keys, the shadow of selfishness has got a reactive nature and a repressive nature. The reactive nature of selfishness is self-centeredness. And this is more of that traditional style of selfishness, maybe what you think of in your mind when you see the word selfishness. Somebody who is just about me, 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 not considering other people, not considering other people's feelings or ideas or opinions, just very self-centered. And we are going to circle back around to look at a bit of that. But I want to start with looking at the repressive nature of selfishness, which is self-sacrifice. Now, this is the person that thinks, I'm not selfish. I'm always doing everything for everybody. Nobody ever does anything for me. It's always me doing everything for everyone else. This is where self-sacrifice lives. This Gene Key is not saying that it is bad to give of yourself to others. Obviously not. It's the Gene Key of selflessness. But what it is saying is, where are you giving from? Self-sacrifice in the shadow state here of selfishness gives from a place of fear. It gives from a place of fearing to say no, or it gives from a place of fearing that I won't be enough, or this person won't like me, or I won't get anywhere in this world unless I keep giving of myself. A key place that self-sacrifice can give from is this fear of not being worthy enough. And so we can end up giving and giving and giving as a way to try and build up some kind of sense of worth on the inside. Selfishness is rooted in survival mode, and we can give from a place of survival mode, afraid that if I don't give of myself to these people and in these places, I won't have enough. And so now I'm giving in order to survive. I'm serving in order to survive. A fantastic practical way that you can pick up on the threads of this self-sacrifice is through the energy of resentment. Wherever you're feeling that sense of resentment of, I'm always doing everything for everyone and they never do anything back for me. I'm always serving over here, always showing my love and they never show it back. This is a thread you can tug on to really open up the beauty of the 27th Gene Key. Because at its depths, Gene Key 27 is about your relationship with giving and receiving. It's about your relationship with reciprocity. And one of the biggest, most juicy invitations of Gene Key 27 is redefining your beliefs around reciprocity. In the shadow of selfishness, we can end up forming a belief or a worldview that thinks that where I give, I must then receive back. If I'm going to give of my love to this person, I need to receive the same amount of love back from that person. And then we find that when that person doesn't match that amount of love, we can go into that resentment, which can lead us down all different sorts of pathways of thought patterns and behaviors and ways that we either pull back from the world or ways that we then go into that even more overserving, trying to accrue that love from the outside. And it can just be a bloody disaster. What if reciprocity didn't work in that narrow way? Where I share my love and my service, that is where I am loved back from. What if it was so much broader than that? This is where we're invited to redefine, and I really mean freaking define giving and receiving. Gene Key 27 has taught me that when I give of my love or my service in one place, I can receive that love back in any place in my life. So, a simple example, if I'm loving on my husband in a particular moment, that love might come back to me through him, and it often does, but it might come back to me through the sun shining on my face through the window. It might come back to me through a random person that I cross in the street. It might come back to me through my dog. It might come back to me through my sister. It might come back to me through a myriad of ways from life. Shifting our belief system in this way can change the way we show up in our day-to-day life massively, especially within our families. Resentment is something that can build up a lot within a family unit where we believe we're always doing everything for everyone and not receiving anything back. When we broaden our view of reciprocity in this way, you actually start to open yourself up to truly receive from life, to truly receive from that torus of energy that swirls around. But this is where that self-sacrifice, when we're giving from fear in the first place. So when our service is birthed from that fear of lack, fear of not enough, fear that I won't be loved. So let me love over here so that maybe I can prove to myself that I'm worthy of love. You're already locked in to a view of reciprocity that has forgotten the truth of the unconditional love inside of yourself. And so that kind of way of giving always leads to feeling a sense of lack. It just solidifies that sense of survival mode. It just solidifies that belief that I'm not worthy enough to be loved. And what ends up happening is we build up these protections around us. So then we feel like we need to protect ourselves against the people in our world who don't seem to love us back. We have to protect ourselves against the people in the world that make us feel like we're not enough or that we're not worthy. And through that protection, we start shutting our heart down. We start believing that we're not safe to serve. We start withholding our love from the world, looking for places where we believe it's safe to love. Okay, I know I can get love back from that person. I'm safe to love them. I know that when I serve over there, it serves me back. So I'm safe to serve over there. And we start really getting very narrow in the way that we show up in the world. And of course, when we narrow ourselves and where we believe our service can be, you're also narrowing where you believe you can receive from. And suddenly you're giving and receiving in these very tight ways. So it's not only your service that becomes tight, but your receiving. You tighten that right up and only believe you can receive in very tight little ways. This Gene Key wants to blow that wide open and bring you into new relationship with life itself, where you become part of this torus. Selfishness has forgotten that it is connected to everything and everyone. Selfishness, by very definition, has kind of isolated itself from the world. And so when you believe you're isolated, well, then you are going to believe that I need to give here so I can receive here so that I can have enough. And then we're scrambling for ways to do that. But when you shift to this understanding that you are interconnected to all things, as you serve in one place, you are serving in all places. As you serve another, you're actually serving yourself. And in the Pearl Sequence teachings, we find this inside of the pathway of service and our vocation, where when we give of ourselves to the world, we are, in fact, healing ourselves in return. And this is actually always happening. The shadow frequency of selfishness has just tightened its view and it's not seeing that truth. So it's not like you have to learn how to tap into this. This is already available to you. It's just a frequency field to attune to in redefining reciprocity. What if you could love on someone in your life that has traditionally made you feel so resentful or so unseen or so unloved? What if you were free to take off your protections, to take down your defenses, and give of your love freely in that area, trusting that as you bring your love over here, which doesn't mean self-sacrificing. It does not mean you have to bend over backwards for somebody who doesn't seem to appreciate it. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you don't have to have your protections up and your love is safe to go out into the world no matter who it's to. And then you realize, oh, life loves me back. Life loves you back. Because when you are giving from that place of love, you're giving from the well of unconditional love, and unconditional love just loves you straight back in return because you're no longer looking through the lens of, I'm safe to love here because I can get love back. Giving as a way of getting. And that's often how we serve, right? We serve so we can get. It's how our world is built, where for the most part, we only go to work because we want to get money in return. We only serve in this way because this is how I get what I need in order for myself to survive. This gene key has got the evolution of mankind wrapped up inside of it. We are on a journey of shedding this way of being so that we can truly access what higher purpose really means. The system of how we earn and spend money isn't going to change tomorrow, but we don't have to be a victim of that system. We can start applying the truth of this energy of giving and receiving through our relationships, through the way that we show up in our own service, through really contemplating and reflecting on where we do feel resentful, where we are looking at giving and receiving in this tight, narrow lens. And as you contemplate that, whoa, does it start to open you up? Seeing your own selfishness is very confronting. But once you get really honest and you allow yourself to see the selfishness, the freedom starts opening up and your heart starts opening up. It is a truly magnificent journey here. And it's a journey that's deeply connected to the idea of purpose. The programming partner to Gene Key 27 is Gene Key 28. From the shadow of purposelessness to the gift of totality to the city of immortality. Service and purpose, altruism and purpose, they are deeply intertwined. But our very search for purpose as humans can be so selfish. Just think about it for a second. Often, our search for purpose begins as, I want to feel more purpose. I want to feel more fulfilled. I want to be able to do something in the world where I get to have an impact. I want to do something in the world that I enjoy, that can be really good for my bank account and da, 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 da. I. That's just such a powerful thing to contemplate. Where is even my search for purpose? Getting caught in the weeds of selfishness. And where underneath that is there a deeper truth of my yearning for purpose? Because the truth is that you don't just want your purpose for you. Underneath that selfishness, when we allow ourselves to see that selfishness, we see a deeper thread. We yearn for that sense of purpose because we yearn to play that piece in the whole. We yearn to share of our love with others. We yearn to see the evolution of our collective. So interesting to look at this and see that as long as our search for purpose remains a selfish search, we block ourselves from experiencing purpose. Because purpose, higher purpose, is always going to be about our togetherness, about our collective. And sure, we each have our place in that puzzle. But the puzzle is truly a collective puzzle. There is actually a spot in your Gene Key profile that speaks of selfishness. You have the pathway of service that connects your brand to your vocation. This is you showing up to serve in the world in the way that you were always destined to serve. But the shadow state of this pathway is the pathway of selfishness. So often our service gets stuck in selfishness. And it can get stuck in that repressive side that we've spoken about of self-sacrifice, serving so that I can feel worthy, serving so that I can feel like I am enough. But it also gets stuck in the reactive nature of self-centeredness, but in a more subtle way than what you think. You might think, I'm not self-centered in my service. It's not all about me. I'm trying to serve everybody else. I want to help people. I want to help people with my genius or with my creativity or with whatever it is that you do in the world. Self-centeredness can be very sneaky here. And the main way I see it show up is where we get caught in worrying too much about how other people will see us in our service, where we get worried about what are they going to think if I serve in this way? What is that person going to think if I truly moved from my passion? How is the world going to judge me if I am moving from that thing in my heart, from that dream, from that passion? Oh, people are going to judge me. People are going to think I'm cringe. People are going to think that. This is where self-centeredness can show up in our service. When we are worried about what people are going to think if we move from our highest service, we're actually making it about us. The moment that I start worrying about what you on the other side of this YouTube channel are thinking about me while I am serving in this way, well, I've just made it about me. That's selfish service. I'm worried about how you're seeing me in my service. You get stuck back in the realms of selfishness again. True service, that altruism, doesn't get stuck in those weeds of, oh, are you going to judge me if I show up in my passion? No. True altruism is so grounded in that knowing of the purpose that beats at the center of its chest that it's like, I just have to show up and be myself. And exactly how I want to show up as myself is the perfect fit for the puzzle piece I'm meant to play. And I don't have to worry and get all self-centered about it. I'm just here to play my piece in the collective. It's a really interesting piece to sit with Gene Key 27, especially if you have a business of your own or you're planning on launching a business of your own. Be daring enough to gaze upon your own selfishness. I've got a video on my channel where I talk about how my Gene Keys have helped me to grow a successful business and actually talk in depth about the pathway of service / the pathway of selfishness and how I had to see my own selfishness and that it was a huge catalyst for me in unlocking prosperity and in allowing myself to actually be in that energy of service. In Richard Rudd's audio for Gene Key 27, he talks about the fact that selfishness contracts that tightness, right? And this is why when we are on a selfish pursuit for purpose, it always feels like time's running out. It feels like, oh, I need to find my purpose now because I'm running out of time and I'm getting older. And what if I never find my purpose? Time starts to contract. And so this can be, again, a practical thread that we can find in our life to start contemplating where I'm scared that time's running out. Where is selfishness playing a role there? Where am I maybe in survival mode? Where am I coming from a place of searching for purpose simply because I'm afraid I'm not going to find it? Purpose is not going to be birthed through the fear of not finding purpose. And our selfishness is this portal that opens us up into so much more spaciousness. Where selfishness is tight, altruism is open and it is safe to give. Another thing that Richard says in his audio that I just love is that there is no tonic in the world more powerful than unconditional giving. But again, this comes back around to redefining reciprocity. Unconditional giving is only accessible once we have dropped deep enough into the belief and the understanding and the knowing that as I give, so I receive. from life. It is so open. It is so spacious. Instead of, as I give here, I receive here, and oh, I didn't receive there. So now I'm annoyed or I'm angry or I don't feel like I'm enough. I'm not going to give anymore. I'm going to shut myself off, or I'm going to give more until they see me, until they hear me. Your life's just going to open up here in Gene Key 27. And as you open yourself up to being safe to give of your love, what you are going to come face to face with, my friend, is the energy of purpose. You'll find that it's actually in everything. You'll find that purpose is not found in this one thing, in this one way that you serve, but more in the approach of how you meet life. And from this beautiful relationship with giving and receiving, you will find yourself being able to serve in places that become increasingly more and more of a fit for you and your service. Not because it was from a place of fear and I have to find where I'm going to serve because that's the only place where I want to give of my energy. No, as we open ourselves up, life brings us these places where your service is a perfect freaking fit, where you start to learn how to have really healthy boundaries. Self-sacrifice just says yes too much, too afraid to say no out of what will that person think of me if I say no. And then self-centeredness says no too much, too afraid to say yes because, oh, if I say yes, then I'm not going to have enough left for me. Altruism is safe to say yes, and it's safe to say no, because it has this foundational belief about the truths of giving and receiving, has this foundational belief of its unconditional love, its unconditional worth, its unconditional value. So now we're safe in the yes or the no. Where if something doesn't feel in alignment with us, you can show up and say a really grounded, sacred no. Because when you're saying a grounded, sacred no to one thing, you're also saying a grounded, sacred yes to something else. And in altruism, you're safe to say no to someone because you're not going to make the way that person feels about your no mean something about you. Selfishness is the frequency that makes somebody's reaction mean something about yourself. A sacred no that is in alignment with your highest good, you can trust that it is in alignment with that other person's highest good as well. This is a place that altruism lives from. Selfishness asks the question, how can I best serve myself in this situation? Even in its overgiving, even in self-sacrifice, there is still this underlying question of how can I best serve me in this? Whereas altruism asks the question, how can I best serve my highest purpose in this? How can I best serve highest good? And constantly saying yes and exhausting yourself is not highest good for anyone. And this is where we can catch ourselves in the selfishness where we think, oh, it's highest good for everyone else, but it's terrible for me, but I just have to say yes because I've got to do it for everybody else. If it's not highest good for you, it's not highest good for them either. This gene key will ground you into your yeses and your nos in a way that you're just here to serve that which is higher. You're no longer here just in these tight little biofeedback loops of where I give, then I receive. That kind of gets us caught in this way of living where Richard talks about it in a different gene key, I believe it's gene key 21, where we end up like dogs underneath the table of the feast, just feeding on the scraps, trying to get the scraps of things from life. That's survival mode. And so often we can be in that survival mode without quite realizing it. And that's where I see so much of the practical power of Gene Key 27 is in showing us where we are caught in those loops, in revealing to us where we are in that fear-based relationship with giving and receiving. I sent out an email yesterday called The Practical Pulse, where I shared some pieces around this Gene Key 27, and a beautiful woman replied to the email sharing with me about how as she's gone deeper with this archetype, she's opened herself up to receiving in these new ways where she's manifested things that she's just gone, whoa, is this what's possible when I open myself up to a broader relationship with giving and receiving. Life wants to bring love into your life. But sometimes we're too busy looking for it to come in particular places that we miss all of the places where it's actually coming from. So that's what I want to leave you with in terms of this gene key. And as these videos come out, I'm going to be doing all 64 gene keys in this kind of style. We're not covering the entirety of a gene key here. There is so much more to gene key 27 than what I've shared here. But I just wanted to pull on a couple of practical threads where you can go out into your life, your everyday life, exactly as it is, and gaze through this lens, contemplate through some of these pieces that I've shared today and be like, oh, there's that thing. And then pull on that thread through your own contemplation and your own reflection, and always approaching contemplation with a curious, playful, light-hearted, patient, gentle spirit. This isn't about going off into your life and finding the selfishness and being like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person. No. No, we're safe to see it. Be gentle with yourself when you see it and allow it to become a portal into so much purpose in your life. If you found this video helpful, you will absolutely love the other Gene Key 27 video that I have got inside Gene Keys Unleashed, which is my Gene Keys dedicated membership. There is a link in the description for you to come in for a free month and dive into the resources there. There is a video about Gene Key 27 where I pull on some completely different threads. And then there is a whole set of contemplation questions, journaling prompts to help you actually integrate that into your life. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about anything that stuck out to you from today's video, or anything that you have found, some of the practical threads that you have found in Gene Key 27. Would love to hear those as well. Thank you for joining me, and I'll chat to you soon.